In this video, you will learn how to create a co-occurrence or sequence query. These are queries that will search texts and find words either in sequence or just that co-occur in that text. So let's go ahead and see how to do that. Let's begin by creating a query. So in the queries hierarchy, I've just created a demo hierarchy for the purposes of this demonstration. Create your new query with the Insert New Item button. Choose Query instead of Heading. And now you're ready to just give it a name. I'll give it a very basic name. Choose the project you're searching. I'm logged into the Persepolis Fortification Archive project. And then we are searching in texts. So these are the only things we need to choose on the Scope tab. Everything else is fine as is. We'll go to the Criteria tab next. And to begin, I will just demonstrate how to do a basic query. I'm going to search for texts in a certain category, and these categories are just based on content. Let's try L. Okay. Save those properties. Activate the Properties tab with that little button right there. You can see these tabs are not active. They have the little X. The green check mark means the Properties tab is active. I always like to save my query. And let's just see how many texts are in category L. 839. Okay, great. So we know we have a category that has some text in there. We'll be able to find some words in these texts. So now, how to do the co-occurrence and sequence query. Create a concept that will list out the words you're searching for. So come to whatever hierarchy you have. Again, I'm just using the demo hierarchy. Same button to insert a new item below. Here we're doing a concept. Let's give it a name, search for words. I always like to hit the refresh button so I can see the name of my item show up there. Okay, so this components pane is where we will add the words that we're going to search for. And the sequence in which we add them is important. That will tell the query the sequence that we expect to find them in the text. So how to add words to this components pane. Come to the linked items panel. If it's not open already, you can open it with your paperclip button here. There it is. And then we need to choose some words from the dictionary. So I know a couple of good words that we can search for. There's only one word for beer in this dictionary, so it pops up in a new window. Here's that word. Now, to add it to my components list, I come to Display Format Checklist mode right there. Now it allows me to pick the item I want and add it to the components list using the paperclip checkmark button. Just that easy. There you go. So that's the first word in the list. Because we're looking for co-occurrence, we need more than one thing to search for. So we're going to search for this somewhat common Elamite word. Again, display format, pick list. We come to checklist mode, checklist that item, add it using the paperclip with the checklist. Now we're searching for two words in this order. First word, second word. And we're also going to search for them regardless of what order they occur in. So that's enough for us to get started with our query. Now let me show you a little tip here. I'm going to need this concept to appear over here in my linked items pane so I can add it to the query. To do that very quickly, I'm already selected on the left navigation. To add it to the right navigation, I just click this little arrow button and there I go. So whatever I'm sort of navigated to over here, this will load it up in the linked items pane. Okay, now we're good to go back to the query and add the important co-occurrence variable we need. So we're going to add a new property. And I believe I just added that in the wrong place. So good lesson. This is how you delete a property. So I'm going to select at the top level, add a new item right after it. And I'm going to select the components variable. So this will refer to the components in the list of components that we added to that concept. And now over here in the value field, it's waiting for a concept. So I already have my concept loaded up here. I'm going to add it with the paperclip plus button. Save my properties. It's updated in our little preview screen up here. Searching Persepolis, text, category L, components equal to whatever's in my search for words concept right there. Now, very important, before you can run this query, you have to tell it if you want it to be a co-occurrence or a sequence query. If I were to run it like this, it would find nothing. So to begin with, let's find the co-occurrences of those two words. And we just click the Perform Query button. So out of the 839, there are 14 texts in which those two words occur in any kind of order. So curious how many of those texts have the words exactly in the sequence. So now it's going to go through a sort of a middle step to warn you or to report to you the co-occurrences. So it assumes that we didn't already run the co-occurrence query, that we're just trying for sequence queries here, and it says, okay, this word for beer occurs 361 times, this other special word occurs 3,770 times. I've found 14 texts where those co-occur. Would you like to perform this query? The reason for this step is if this number is very high, you might not want to wait for the query. And in fact, if it's too high, OCHRE doesn't let you run the query. 14 is no problem, so we're going to run that and see of those 14, how many? 13, okay, so almost all of them had the words in sequence. So let's see some of those words in sequence. I like to switch over to view mode instead of edit mode. If you see that little red feather there, that means you're in edit mode. You can do changes behind the scenes. If you just toggle that and you see that it's in the Egyptian Eye of Horus, then that means you're not going to be in edit mode, you're going to be in view mode, and when you click on a text, it's going to give you a nice view of that text. So it's just a really easy way to sort of get this view right away. And the yellow highlighted words are the words that we were looking for in order. So you could continue to click through these texts, looking at them one at a time and examining those words in order if you want. Your other option at this point is to click this third button in from the left to produce a quick view of all of the items in the query results list. And for text, that would give you the name of the text and then just the transliteration. It's not going to give you any images, any notes, any discourse, interpretation, any translation, or any of the description. It's just going to give you the name and the transliteration, which is kind of a handy way to quickly review text that may be very similar. Okay, so that's very simply how to do co-occurrence and sequence queries. Now, on to some more advanced options for you. If we go back to our concept, I'm still in view mode, switch back into edit mode. There we go. So I just put two words in here, but what if I don't know exactly what it is I'm searching for? You have some options. This third button in, the paperclip with the asterisk, gives you some sort of wild cards to use. If you know that there's a number, but you really don't want to specify what number, you just type in the number sign, and then put it in the sequence where you think it might occur. So I'm looking for any number of beer that were allotted. Another option you have is to use the asterisk to say, I think there's a word intervening, but I don't know what the word is, and in fact I don't want to specify what it is. So if you just use asterisk, it'll consider a number followed by beer, followed by a word of any sort, followed by this word for allotment. So those are two of sort of the advanced options you have at your disposal for adding components. Now, what if, I'm just showing how to remove some of these components now, you just use the paperclip minus button. What if you wanted to search for a category of words instead of searching for a specific word? Let me show you how you would do that. Now, if you have added properties to your dictionary lemmas, you can use those properties, the values of those properties as search items here. Now let me see if I can find some properties here. There we go. Okay, so what if I wanted to find all units of measure There it is, units of measure. And so maybe a unit of measure would precede the word for beer, so we have jars of beer or something like that. And then I could even say, in front of that, let's look for numbers. And again, this is how you nudge up. So numbers of jars of beer allotted is what we would be searching for here. So if your project has gone through the trouble of adding, variable and value properties to your lemmas in your dictionary, you can now leverage those for your sequence and co-occurrence queries. All right, that should get you started. Let us know if you have any questions.